What's up, you guys? It's Jonno. Welcome to episode 1 of Chrono Trigger. We are going to be playing the epic RPG classic from the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, 1995. That's right. Welcome to Millennium Square. We are in the fair town. Well, I don't know the name of this town, but we'll figure it out in just a second. Crono is just about to get a rude awakening from someone he loves very dearly. That's right, Crono. Crono. You hear the bells, big boy? It's time to wake up. Crono, are you still sleeping? Oh, there she is. Mum, aka Mother, aka Mama, aka Ma, Mum, Ma, Mama, Mommy. Alright, there she is. Dear me, I'd forgotten how beautiful the lean bell sounds. You must have been so excited about the Millennium Fair that you couldn't sleep last night. Oh, that's right, Mum. Well, you'd better not let that giddiness get you into any trouble. Yes, they use the word giddy. They're trying to be all old English and use words that we don't use in American English. That's because it's an RPG. Alright, let's get in there. We now take first control of our character, Crono, the hero of the story. You can see our cat went downstairs. They have no business being up here in my room. All right, let's go ahead and check out. What do we have here in the room? Pretty much nothing. Basically nothing. There is one Easter egg. You can't even go back to sleep. You really do have to get up. The only Easter egg in the room. Here we go. Yeah, did you know about this? I didn't know about this. When I was a kid, I never found this. Hey, in Pokemon, you get to check your email. In Chrono Trigger, you get to feed your cats, but we won't talk about that just yet because you can't look at your cat food yet either. There's only one Easter egg. All right, what was the name of that friend of yours? Oh, that's right. Her name was Luca. I'm going to keep all the default names for the most part. There'll be a surprise in that regard later on, but for now, we'll keep the default names. Run along then and be back before dinner. Mom will say that to us so many times before the end of this episode. Run along now and be back before dinner. Okay, now we can check on my grams of cat food, which is 0. That's our cat food jar. Everybody in this world seems to have a cat food jar, but not everybody uses their cat food jar to feed cats. I'm like, what is in your cat food jar if it's not for cats? Now, clearly, Mom has a full cat food jar. Way to go, Mom. She's feeding that cat right. Oh, I almost forgot. Here's your allowance. Yeah, 200G from Mom. Thanks, Mom. All right, now we got to get into our adventure. Here's the world map. There's tons of residences on the world map. You can just go through and talk to everybody. This is a classic RPG, and there is a rich story unfolding. And I highly, highly recommend to go in every house, talk to every character, listen to their stories, think about what they're saying. Some of it will be confusing now, but a lot of it will make sense in just a mere couple of episodes. Some of the stuff they're talking about, like the war with the Fiend Lords, that's going to be really important in the next couple episodes. Some people are saying I'm as happy as I've ever been in my entire life. Well, that's probably true because things are about to get real bad, real fast. And the present, well, it just might not be the present anymore. Soon. And the past, well, it might just not be the past anymore. In the future. What? Alright, we'll get to that later. Alright, you guys, we have some adventuring to do, and the mayor has set us up proper. Let's get over to the mayor's house and get some free stuff. Now, there's all kinds of free things that you can find. It's not like Final Fantasy VII or some of the other Final Fantasies you may have played where there's just hidden stuff everywhere, but there's definitely some hidden stuff. You're going to want to snag all of the free treasure chests that you find. You'll find some treasure chests that can't be opened. Don't worry about those right now. They'll all look the same, but the ones that can be opened look like that gold one up at the top. There's also some free gil that you can get from a person in this house, but I didn't realize it until later, so don't worry about that. We'll go ahead and get it a little bit later, but that guy in the center that I got stuck on, he'll give you some free gil if you talk to him twice. And you can see I found the chest. They're a little bit camouflaged, okay? The chest is a little bit hard to identify as a chest the first time. It's not even that sparkly or glowy. It looks like a background item, but you know what? It's just glowy enough to where you should be able to notice it. And of course, once you open it, it's very noticeable with that red. All right, let's get out there. get some exploring done. Now, there's a ton of stuff on the world map when you first get started. Some people might say that there's nothing to do in the early game of Chrono Trigger. That's just sadly incorrect, and we are going to do so much more than you ever imagined on the early game of Chrono Trigger. So get ready for like 3 episodes of early game Chrono Trigger. I am not even kidding. We are going to spend as much time as we can soaking in this amazing world that the RPG developers have put into the game for us. Alright, now watch this, you guys. I do recommend to go on the boat as your first thing and then trek your way back to the main area. Watch this. Alright, tell me that boat did not run ashore just now. Tell me it did not run ashore. That boat definitely hit the shore just now. I'm positive. Somebody needs to have a word with the ferry captain because that dude definitely hit the shore, okay? Alright everybody, so we're pulling into our little fairy town here, and of course we have a little bit more storytelling from some of the locals here. There's another mayor's mansion here. We're gonna grab some free items, and we're mostly just down here to take in the story, take in this beautiful world, and see everything that there is to see. Now this game does involve time travel. I'm not gonna say any spoilers, but we're taking in everything now because it might just be a little bit different later. Some of these people might change when we go back in time and change their past, and it affects their future. La-di-da. Okay, there's a lot that I could say on that, but I don't want to get into spoilers. So we're just taking in every single bit of rich history that's available to us in the present. And this is called the present. If you guys are reading a walkthrough, which I do recommend to read a walkthrough as you go through this so you don't miss anything, just like this 9,900 beef jerky right here. I had to look in my walkthrough, what the heck is that? Because I didn't want to miss anything important. You don't need to get that right now, you can get it later. But yeah, I do recommend to read a walkthrough, and they will refer to this time period as the present, and there are other time periods, 600 AD, etc. There's even BC time periods that we're gonna go to, and we'll go to the future. As you guys saw in the anime, there's so many time periods we go through. There's dinosaurs, there's robots, there's aliens, all kinds of crazy stuff gonna happen in this game. So don't think of it as this fantasy RPG. As we go through, we're gonna see all kinds of crazy stuff evolve into crazy storylines that you never expected. That's why people love this game. That's why this game is such a classic. Now, I will say about this shop, we're going to be coming back to this shop, but it's not going to be for a while. I need a bunch of the stuff in this shop, and the stuff in this shop is way better than the shop at the Festival Square. So we're going to have to come back here and buy some of this equipment, especially the bronze armor, the bronze helmets, things like that. But for now, we don't have the money for it. We got to do some grinding before we're going to have any of that money. And we're in full-blown story mode right now. So let's just go ahead and look around at all of the story stuff to look at. So next up, we have the mayor's mansion. This is a different town, so there's a different mayor. We did travel pretty far on that ferry. One thing I'll say about the mayor is he's absolutely crazy. He'll give you free money, not very much, and I don't recommend to grind this because it's a terrible way to get money. But you know what? He will give you that 10G, and it's quite funny to do it at least one time. Now make sure you guys go upstairs. All right, see these weird boxes? Yeah, you can't do anything with those boxes, but there is a box you can actually open up here. Everybody says that Daddy's greedy. You think it's true? Yeah, well, once we find out what's inside these mysterious boxes, then we'll find out if your dad's really greedy or not, I guess. Alright, everybody, let's keep on moving. There's not a ton of free stuff. I don't know if you guys remember Final Fantasy VII. You could look at every little nook and cranny and find free stuff. There would be free stuff in almost every single building. This game has free stuff, alright? But not as much as Final Fantasy VII, that's for sure. Alright, so we find ourselves in the desert now with extremely creepy music. This is definitely one of my favorite music tracks of the entire game. Something about this music just gives me the feeling like something bad is about to happen, but also kind of inspiring, you know? It's like on the upbeat and the downbeat at the same time. I love this music. Okay, now here's a little tiny Easter egg. If you actually click on Zenon Bridge, then you can go and talk to all these people. It's kind of a waste of time, but you know what? The story of the game is what we're here for. And if you look at that background with the sunset on the water, or I guess it's the sunrise on the water, that is just gorgeous. So I actually never found this as a kid. There's so much stuff I never found as a kid, and I'm basically just wandering around clicking every single thing I can click, touching everything just in case there's a secret that I missed as a kid. Now, I will tell a little bit of a story here, you guys, okay? Story time with Jonno. The first time I ever played this game, it was with my best friend Alex. I spent the night at his house, and he was like, dude, we gotta beat this game before the morning. Let's stay up all night and beat Chrono Trigger. Little did we know, that's not possible. However, we did play a lot of Chrono Trigger, and I remember that very, very well. So my earliest memories of Chrono Trigger are basically the beginning of the game, all right? So that's my little story time. My best friend Alex invited me over and showed me Chrono Trigger for the first time and started me on a path down RPG glory that would not end for many, many years. Now, here's that thing I was talking about earlier, you guys. You can talk to the old man in this room 2 times, and he will give you a lot of money. And if I would have done that earlier in the game, then I could have gone down to that shop down below and actually gotten all of the armor that I needed from there. But that's okay, we have to make 2 trips to the shop down there anyway because I need the armor for my other characters too. So we're gonna have to do some grinding. We are going to grind, all right? This episode is going to be a grind episode. You guys know me, or if you don't know me, I play RPGs in a very grindy way. I like to get high level early in the game. I like to get everything that there is to get. I like to 100% my games, or, 95%, basically. So yes, I do like to do everything that there is to do. So on that note, let's go ahead and get into the fair. We pretty much saw all the story stuff that there is to see. Now we are at the fair. Now you guys will notice here, there is a ton of stuff to do, and some of it is important, and some of it, if you do it wrong, it will change the way that your game operates later in the game. So I'm going to tell you everything you can do wrong and basically show you guys everything to do right. And if you follow this, then you won't do anything wrong. But if you move ahead before I tell you the stuff that you can do wrong, and then you do it wrong before I tell you, then that's going to be bad. So just make sure you pay attention at least until I tell you all the stuff that you can do wrong, and I'm going to do it right. And once you do it right, you can't really do it wrong again after that. So I'll just go ahead and show you everything that there is to show you. Now, first off, when you get here, you can play all these games, okay? And you're gonna need to play some of these games, but some of the games are a huge waste of time, and I'll tell you which ones are a huge waste of time, okay? The silver bell that I just did, that one was a huge waste of time. You noticed it only gave me 1 silver point. Now the race, you can pick the winner of the race. I skipped that part too because it's a huge waste of time, and all the footage that I skipped was me just wasting time, okay? Now, what you really need to do, first things first, when you get to the festival, is go and meet Marle. Her name is Marle. You can name her whatever you want. Did you see her brush off her booty there? That was hilarious, all right? Little booty dust off. So go ahead and meet Marle. Make sure you run into her. She's going to get knocked over. Pick up her pendant and bring her pendant back to her, just like I just did, all right? Make sure that you walk up and bring her pendant back. That's very important. Don't run off the screen with her pendant. Don't try to take off with her pendant. And when she asks you for the pendant, say yes, give it to her. Now, you're trying to be a good person, and if you're not a good person now, then you'll end up having consequences later. So make sure that you tell her, sure, it's okay if you walk around with me as well. Now, one thing that you don't know about her, which you're going to find out very soon, is that she's the princess. And it's not a spoiler because you're going to find out really, really soon, but it's kind of a spoiler because you don't know it right now. But she is the princess, and there's a lot of people who have been talking about her. Even during this episode, I saw people earlier talking about the princess and how bad she wanted to go to the fair. That's very important. So she is at the fair. She snuck out. And she's basically gonna hang out with me all day long. Lucky me, because she's a very pretty princess, so we're gonna hang out and have a day. Now, she doesn't understand by hanging out with me. She's stuck for all of my grinding in the forest. She's gonna get super high level. She's gonna get decked out with the best equipment, and we're gonna raise a total of 11 cats together. That's right, 11 cats. We'll get to that later. First off, though, we gotta hang out and enjoy the festival. There's so many festivities here. We got to see everything that there is to see, and we got to make sure that we are a good person along the way. Now, you see the old man here? The old man really loves his lunch. You see his lunch over there? Don't touch that, all right? I'm not kidding with you. Do not touch that lunch. Do not go anywhere near that lunch. Don't even think about that lunch. Now, what you do need to do is go talk to the kitty and bring the kitty back to the poor little girl. The kitty likes to get lost along the way, so it's a little bit hard to make it go the right way. But yes, you can successfully bring the kitty all the way back to the little girl, and when you do that, you'll be a good person. All right, make sure you don't take the guy's lunch. I'm not kidding with you. Don't take the lunch. Don't even go touch the lunch, don't even go think about the lunch, and if you do, then you need to reset your game and start over back from your other save point. And at this point, you probably haven't even saved yet, so I'm telling you, just don't touch that lunch, alright? You'll lose all your progress. And if you do touch the lunch, then you messed up bad and you're gonna face the consequences later. Alright, now the other thing that you need to do is come talk to the sword guy. Now the sword guy you'll see has a silver sword. We're gonna buy that sword. We're not gonna buy it right now. Right now we're gonna get the bronze sword. You don't actually need that bronze sword. You can one-shot every single enemy. Every enemy you can one-shot with your wooden sword. But I'm getting the bronze sword anyway because I'm that kind of guy, alright? Now Melchior lives on the East Continent and Melchior has a taste for fine jewelry. So he'll try to talk you into getting the young lady to give you the pendant. Make sure you say no thanks on that. Do not give this dude the pendant. You'll be a very bad person if you do that, okay? Now, one thing that I know for sure is that this is the princess, okay? So I'm taking her home, all right? First thing we're doing is taking her right back to the castle, okay? We gotta fight a little bit of mushrooms on the way. Okay, the mushrooms aren't too bad, and the mushrooms are your true grind. This is where you're gonna get some levels. This is where you're gonna unlock all of your tech abilities, which are basically your special attacks, and this is where you're gonna get all of your money. So we do have to grind a lot of money here. A lot. It's actually a crazy amount of money here. You might even spend about an hour running all these mushrooms over and over and over again to get all the money for the silver sword. Now, I do recommend to do that. I honestly do recommend to do that. You should do that. Don't do it right now, though. We got things to do right now. But I'm going to show you the entire grind just real quick since we're here. You do have to go through and fight these guys. Now the thing is, you don't have to fight them, but I say you have to fight them because you need the levels, you need the XP, and you need the money. However, there is a way that you can skip every single enemy in this whole area. It's not a big deal if you want to do that, but you're going to be under leveled and you're not going to unlock your tech abilities, which are your special attacks. We'll show you those in a little bit, but you don't really need to know about them right now. They're special attacks. They do a lot of damage, and like I said, you can one-hit everything in this forest, so you don't really need a special attack. The only advantage to the special attacks right now is that you can hit groups of enemies, so you could technically knock out groups of enemies. But in the meantime, I would say just use your basic attack all the enemies as quickly as possible, knock them out. They're not going to do much damage to you. You're not going to have any trouble knocking these guys out, and it'll actually take longer doing your tech moves because they take a long time doing the animation, and the basic attacks are so quick that you can just do those, and I think it's the fastest. So what I'm going to show you here is a little bit long, but that's okay. Stay with me. We got to get through all of these battles, and it's our first time getting through Guardia Forest, so it should be your first time, and you'll find a couple of hidden items, and you'll find a couple of different things here and there. But yeah, you do have to beat all of these guys and grind. That's pretty much what we're going to do here. I'll skip all of this later. I won't show you guys all of my grind. I'm going to have hours of grinding that I actually skip because you don't need to see it. So this is the one and only time that I'm going to show you the Guardia Forest grind. You have to do all of the different dudes. And you can see I already learned my techs. I don't know if you guys saw that at the top. I learned my techs. And there's also a strength capsule up here. Make sure you don't miss that strength capsule. You should see it. It's a little blue shining light up there. And then basically, you don't have anything left to do in the forest after you get the strength capsule. The strength capsule is the only hidden item here. You only really need to grind all these guys. Now, like I said, I'm taking the princess back to Guardia Castle. I don't think you're supposed to do that. I think you're actually not supposed to do that, and she gets upset when you do it. But I find it funny, so I'm doing it for my own storytelling purposes. Now, you guys can do whatever you want, and I'm not actually sure if you're supposed to try to take her back to the castle. It might not score you any points, and basically being nice to the princess is your main goal right now. But I don't think that this will affect the story. I'm 99% sure it doesn't affect the story. If anybody wants to correct me down in the comments, you can go for it. I would appreciate the comments. I always appreciate the comments, and I have had so many people help me on my YouTube channel throughout the years by posting me amazingly informative comments. So I would definitely appreciate any comments. If you guys see me miss anything, if you see me mess anything up, all right, just let me know right down there in the comments, and be sure to smack that like button while you're there. Now let's go and see the castle. I was showing you guys all the signs. You'll also notice that the mushrooms came back because we ran off camera and came back on camera. Now here we go. This is a different encounter if you come alone, all right? So if you come alone, the guards actually escort you out and kick you out. But if you come with Marle, then she freaks out and she's like, no, we got to get out of here, because she knows the guards will recognize her. So she's like, yo, get out of here before they see me. Now, I always like to do that little bit of the story because I find it funny. You literally don't have to do that. It's a total waste of time. But it is worth noting that depending on who's in your party, you will have different encounters with some NPCs, and you'll have different encounters in some parts of the world map. So depending on who's in your party, you could have different stuff go on. It's just one of those little things. It's an RPG. It's a very in-depth game. You're gonna find a lot of little nuances like that. So here we go. We're grinding Guardia Forest again. We're gonna show you guys a little bit of this grind. I am getting higher level. That's good. I am getting tons of money. That's very good. Now that little bird guy up there, he's the only enemy you actually need to be concerned about, and not very concerned whatsoever. But that enemy can do his dingling, and that will confuse you, and it makes you start attacking your own players, and you're the only one who can do enough damage to actually hurt yourself. So once you start attacking yourself, you'll notice that you're draining health pretty fast. So you want to take out those dudes as quickly as possible. Now, one thing you guys may notice is that I'm on the active attack thing. I'm not on the wait where it goes slower. I like to move pretty quick. I may actually have to change that setting later, because it's possible that I'm going to get in some sticky situations and I don't want to have to basically have my moves mess up. But I'm not too worried about it right now. These are easy battles. There may come some more advanced battles later where I have to switch to the wait dialogue. I like the quick one now because it's faster, and I recommend using the quick one because there's basically nothing that can kill you in the game yet. So don't worry about that for now. I would say use the active one. All right, and then later, if you come up to some bosses that you can't beat, or if you come into a situation that you can't get around, then maybe you might want to consider going to the slower one. I'm going to use the active one for now and just see how it goes. That's my plan. Now, if you guys aren't sure exactly what I'm talking about, when you very first started the game, you had to choose between active battle and basically a wait battle system where all the enemies will wait on you to select your moves. And I think it's important to note that if you selected the active, things are going to move faster for you. And if you're grinding, you do need them to move a little bit faster. And if you selected wait, then things are going to move a tiny bit slower. It'll be better for boss battles later in the game. And I might personally have to change to the wait system. But that's also why I got the controller. The controller has given me such better control over the menus and the dialogues. Now you'll see that I'm not using the controller at this time. I needed the controller for one of the mini games in the Millennium Fair. So because I needed the controller for the mini game in the Millennium Fair, that's when I actually got out the controller. So most of the first episode, I'm not using the controller, and you can see the little mobile thing on the screen where I'm moving around. Now I will say about that, I did not have a very pleasant experience with the mobile thing, and I eventually decided to bust out the controller, and I will recommend that for everybody because the mobile thing is really hard to control. So here we go, you guys. We just brought Marle home for the very first time. We introduced her to Ma, and of course Ma is very happy. We brought home a princess. She recognizes her from somewhere. Now this is interesting. Looks like you can take a little nap with the princess. Well then, look at that smug look on Crono's face. Alright, it's just because we've been adventuring, Ma. Calm down. We've been adventuring so long. You don't know how many mushrooms we killed. We were just sleeping, Ma. Come on. Anyway, you guys, jokes aside, you do sleep in separate beds if you ever go to the inn and decide to rest at the inn, but the inn will cost you money and it's totally free to rest at home, so go say hi to Ma once in a while. It's important to say hi to your mother once in a while, and it certainly wouldn't hurt in between your grinding sessions. Now you can see here that I'm doing a very, very fast speed grinding session. The grinding is going to be massive on this game. I'm not kidding with you. You are going to end up grinding a whole lot. But don't worry about that because you need the money to come over here to this dude and get yourself the silver sword. Now, you don't have to get the silver sword. Some people would say, Jonno, why are you wasting your time getting the silver sword when you can get it for free later in the game? Well, I will remind those people it is much later in the game, and the silver sword is going to help you get your cats, okay? Now, you don't have to do the cat grind, and you don't have to do the grind for the silver sword, but if you do decide to grind for the legendary purple cat, the silver sword is going going to help you out a lot in that regard. So I'm getting the silver sword. Just like I said, I don't mind the grind, I enjoy the grind, and I would very much like to get the best possible equipment in the early game, and this is the best possible equipment in the early game. And just remember, never sell this dude the pendant, okay? Just remember that. He'll ask you every time you shop with him, do not sell the dude the pendant. You have the opportunity to mess that up as many times as you want, so do not mess it up. Don't sell him the pendant. Now let's go ahead and move on to a way that you can grind for silver points. One of the things we are going to do is grind for a ton of silver points, and there's many ways to do it. Now this is the race way. You can block the other players in the race and make the dude that you want to win into the winner. Now this won't always work, and it's also much easier once you have Marle in your party because both of you will block the other players. But as you can see, I was able to get the one that I want to win in first place, and now I'm gonna get 20 coins. That's pretty cool. Now you do have to wait. This is why it's not the best way. Okay, you have to wait and wait and wait. You see, I'm waiting for the cat to make it to the end of the race. And there you go, I got 20 silver coins. Now that wasn't too bad, and I have a special way that I'll explain to you how I did that. But the thing is, it's not a guaranteed win, so it's not the best way to do it. Now you can see I chose the steel runner. I want the steel runner to win, and the other three are gonna get kind of funneled. You see how they got kind of funneled because of the shape of the raceway? He's the only one that ran straight down the center path, and then the other three all kind of funneled into me, and I was able to slow them down. Now you can see I was able to do that 2 times in a row, and that's pretty convenient for the video purposes, but I will say that there was dozens and dozens of times when I wasn't able to predict the winner successfully, even though I would block the other players, because they just run so fast sometimes, or your runner might just run so slow for no reason. So that's why I'm going to say don't spend a ton of time doing this particular method. You really can rack up a lot of coins, but it's not the best way to do it, okay? Sometimes there'll be that one runner that you just can't control them, or like in this case, your runner, the steel runner, just will not go fast. Can't figure out why he wouldn't go fast. He just decided not to be fast that time, okay? So that's why it's a total waste of time. Don't do it. The best way to get your guaranteed silver points is to come over here and do the drinking contest. Now, I spent a lot of time doing this drinking contest, and I finally realized that this is not the most efficient way to get your silver points, but you can do this basically with no thought whatsoever, just by pushing the button and pushing up and pushing the button and pushing up. If you're okay with doing that, then you know what, go for it. I actually did this a lot. I spent probably like hours doing this. I don't know how long I spent doing this, but it was a very long time. Obviously, I cut all that footage out. But then I finally got on the internet and I looked up, is there a better way to do this? And the best way to do it is actually fighting the robot. So I will say, I'm gonna show you that this is one way you can get the points, and it's a consistent way you will get guaranteed points. However, the best way is to get the silver sword so that you're extremely strong, and then go fight the robot, and you can kill the robot in a couple of hits, and then suddenly you're grinding really, really fast. So for the purposes of the video, yes, you can do the drinking contest, and I will tell you I did the drinking contest a lot. I got a ton of points from doing this, but it's not the best way. The best way is actually to get the silver sword and fight the robot, okay? So that's the only thing I'm going to say about the drinking contest. That's the only thing I'm going to say about the running contest. That's the only thing I'm going to say about the silver bell. Those are all the games that you can play. And then, of course, you have fighting the robot, which is one of my favorite things in the world. And we'll talk about that in just a little bit. But first, we have enough silver points to go and spend them, okay? So we've got a whole bunch of mini games that we can use the silver points on. And we're going to play those mini games now. So you'll see here we've got Biggs. You should recognize that name. Okay, Biggs. And of course, wherever we find Biggs, we always find Wedge. Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. We got a little bit of Final Fantasy crossover. Now you would think the last person would be Jesse, Final Fantasy VII reference, but it's actually Pete. All right, so Pete is going to be our third one. Now this is a little bit of a tough game because they're all three identical and there's really no way to figure out which one is which. I've found that usually if it asks you for Biggs, Biggs is this center one right here. I've found that usually if it asks you for Wedge, Wedge is the one on the far left. But I have not really found that to be consistent and it just happened to work out for me most of the times while I was filming this video, but then there was other times it didn't work out like that, but they were rare. So I will say that you basically have to get a little bit of luck when you're doing that particular game. So once you win that game for the first time, you'll get the little Poyzei Doll, and the Poyzei Doll you can see there in my room. So I came all the way back to my room just to show you that. Now, every time you win the game after that, you'll get a very small amount of cat food. So you never need to play that game again, all right? Now, I'm gonna play it again just to show you that you'll get cat food for the purposes of the video. However, you never need to play that game again, and I don't recommend to play it again. It's a total waste of your time. You get such a small amount of cat food. So we'll show off here just a couple more times though, because I want to show you guys everything that there is to show you. So here we go, we'll play the game again. Now, one thing I'll say about this game is it's really, really confusing. There's really no way to tell which one is which, and there will not be very much consistency to it, aside from Biggs is the one that they'll ask you for the most, and he's usually this one. Wedge is the one that they'll ask you for the second most, and it's usually the one on the far left. And Pete, every once in a while they'll ask you to find Pete, and I have no idea which one is usually Pete because I got asked Pete only one time. The whole time I was playing, they only asked me Pete one time. But they did ask me Biggs, and it was consistently the middle person. They did ask me Wedge, and it was consistently the left person, but not always. Now you can see here, I completed that and I got 2 cat food. A lot of the stuff I'm gonna do on this video is for the purposes of demonstration, because I want to let you guys know what's worth your time and what's a waste of time. And I spent a really long time documenting this for myself, actually hours documenting this for myself, so at least you guys have video proof. It's a waste of time to continue doing the first game, so don't do the first game any more than just one time. Okay, so let's move on to the next game, which is going to be the 40 silver point game. This one's a little bit expensive, and you only need to do it one time for now, but you may need to come back here and do it again later if you're a completionist like me and you want to get everything that there is to get. So the reward for this game is a clone of your character, and it clones whoever is the first character in your party. For now, you cannot change your party order, so you can only get Crono's clone. So we're gonna get Crono's clone, and we're gonna basically follow the instructions here and mirror the movements that we're given from Crono. And it's a very simple game. You shouldn't have any trouble finishing this game. Hopefully you don't, and hopefully you're able to get this one done by just pressing the buttons on the screen. Now, I will say this game will be easier if you use the touchscreen controls and not the controller controls. That's for sure. So make sure that you guys just do everything Crono does. I found the game to be pretty easy myself. As long as you keep on pressing them as fast as possible, you will win. However, you can see the speed is getting faster and faster, and it makes it a little bit more difficult to do that. So just try to keep up. Just try to remember that the red is going to be the surprise, the yellow is going to be the laugh, and then the other two are pretty clear. Left and right are easy to memorize. So there you go. You should have no trouble getting Crono's Dopple Doll. The Dopple Doll is kind of funny. It doesn't have any function now, but apparently you need it for stuff later in the game, so it's good to unlock it now. This is actually something that you need to do versus one of the things that I want to do. There's a lot of things that I'm going to do that I want to do that are part of my fun in playing the game. However, you don't need to do some of the stuff, but this is one of the things that you actually need to do. Having Crono's doll is going to be useful for something later in the game. I forget what it is because I haven't gotten that far ahead, but it did tell me in the walkthrough that you need to get it, so go ahead and get it. Okay, so now you can see that we have got a tiny bit of cat food, not very much cat food at all, and we only have the one cat. That's Mom's cat, so we are going to get our very own cat, and the way that you do that is by winning the third and final game, of course. So let's get right over there and win that game for the first time, and I'm gonna show you guys some tricks to win this game. The very first trick is to save your game before you do this. It's really hard to get those 80 silver coins, alright, especially if you haven't begun the real serious grind of getting silver coins yet. And those 80 silver coins are hard to come by. It really takes some serious time to get those coins, so you don't want to lose this game game, and this is one of the games that you are very, very likely to lose. You'll probably lose it over and over again. I lost it dozens of times, and that's why I finally decided to save my game before I went in, because I didn't want to lose those 80 silver coins. So just make sure that you guys save before you go play this game. Now, the other tip I'm going to give you is please, please, please use the controller. I know the controller's expensive, you guys. I know that not everybody wants to buy the controller, but you will get the value from this game alone. The game is literally impossible using the mobile controls. This is the only time I'm going to show the mobile controls, and I lost. There was many, many, many more times that I had to cut out of the video. And of course, if you lose, you can always go back because you can just exit the game, and it's a little bit difficult to figure out how to exit the game, so I showed it here on the video just in case you're stuck. Make sure you guys use the bookmark feature to exit. The bookmark is a different save than your save file, so it won't overwrite your save file, and then you can go back to your save file. It was a little difficult for me to figure that out at first, but I did figure it out. It is possible to exit the game without actually force closing the game, and then you can just exit using the bookmark save and come back in and load your save, which is not the bookmark save. Okay, so you can play the 80 points again, and it's very, very, very difficult to do this. However, I found out the game is actually extremely easy. You can win very, very, very quickly just not using the mobile controls. There's something about the mobile controls, it just takes too long to do everything. And you can see here, you get close on one of these guys, and then you make one tiny little mistake, and suddenly you can't recover. And I did this over and over, you guys. It was seriously so annoying, and I did it over and over because I was like, dude, there must be a way. They wouldn't make a game where there's just no way. And unfortunately, you guys, it's true. There's just no way. If you manage to complete this using the touch mobile controls, please let me know in the comments, because I decided it was impossible. Now, I happen to have the controller. I already bought this controller a while ago, so it was just hanging out, laying around, and I was like, hey, I'll just grab the controller and see if it makes it better. For me, it made it so much better that I decided to do the rest of the series using the controller. Now, you can see it's so much better. First off, I don't have the mobile controls on the screen anymore, so we won't be seeing the mobile controls on the screen anymore, so hopefully you guys enjoy that. It should be a more pure experience. I don't want you guys to have to see that mobile controller thing, and I really didn't like that, so I'm glad that it's gone now. Using the controller takes that off the screen and just gives me a better play experience. You can also see that it was so much easier to win that game, and briefly, you'll notice at the end they gave me a cat. I don't know if you guys saw that. It was very brief. We'll go over to the house and check out the cat. Yes, they did give me a cat. Now, for some reason, this cat wants to live downstairs. You can see we got the little kind of yellowish green cat that's gonna live with mom's cat, and that's wonderful. We now have all 3 prizes that you can get, and we have very little cat food. Now, the thing is, if you don't keep cat food in stock, your cat will run away. No, say it ain't so. I worked so hard to get that cat. Yep, you guys, if you don't keep enough cat food for your cat, then your cat will run away. And that's really sad. However, the alternative is you keep way too much cat food and your cats start breeding. Let's go. Yes, that's probably the most exciting thing that I could possibly imagine. If you keep enough cat food around, your cats will start breeding, and you will have 3 cats, 4 cats, 5 cats, 6 cats. How many cats will you have, Jonno? Well, you can get to the final 11th shiny purple cat from what I understand, okay? Now, I am currently, at this time that I'm recording the narration, I am currently working through getting all of the cats. And I will say it is a fun experience, but it is extremely grindy, and I'm going to do an episode about the cats. But we're just about done with this episode, and I really do want to wrap it up on a high note. So I'm going to show you guys just a few more things that I think you really need to see in episode 1 before we move on to episode 2. Now, what's the most cool thing that I could possibly show you before we end this episode? Of course, it's getting that extra cat. So we're gonna go ahead and get the first bred cat. Now, I will say, if you don't want to do the insane, incredible grind like me, then you can just get the 1 cat, all right? Just get the 1 cat. But if you don't mind doing the insane, incredible grind like me, then go for the 11 purple cats, all right, you guys? And the way that you're gonna do that is to come over here and fight this robot right here. Now, originally, I thought this robot was a waste of time until I started grinding it with the silver sword, and I realized that you can take this guy out so quickly that there's no reason not to do it. The only thing that will slow you down is your own inability to hit the buttons extremely fast, but you can grind this just the same as you can grind the drinking game, and it will give you XP, which levels up your characters, which is actually pretty smart, and it will also give you 15 silver coins, which is just as fast as doing the drinking game, if not faster, and you get more rewards. So I will say, do this. This is the way to do it, but only if you have the silver sword. Now, for some people, if you're playing a different version of the game, the silver sword is known as the load sword. I don't know why I chose to mention that right now, probably because it just came to my mind, but keep in mind that the silver sword and the load sword are the same sword, okay? And some people will remember the load sword. People are probably like, what's this silver sword, Jonno? There was never a silver sword in the game that I played. There's a lot of differences between the mobile version, which is the same as the Steam version, and the original version on the SNES, and they renamed a lot of items. So you guys will notice some items have different names, and that's why. The reason I chose to mention it now, well, it just came to my mind, okay? The silver sword is going to be important, though. You need to grind that silver sword, and then you can do the grind for all the silver coins, and then you can get the purple cat, okay? Now, like I said earlier, if you don't want to do the purple cat, you probably don't need to do any of that, and you probably don't want to spend very much time in the early game, but I'm not like that, okay? I'm trying to play a super game, and I want to do as much as I can possibly do in the early game. And it just goes to show how robust the early game actually is. I've already spent hours on the early game, and there's even more hours to spend on the early game, and we haven't even done any of the first stuff that some people do in the first 15 minutes of playing the game. So there's definitely different ways of playing this game. If you never played this way, hey, come along for the journey. This is how I play, and we are going to do everything to the max. And I'm very excited about it as well, you guys. Very, very excited. Some people would literally only spend like 15 minutes getting through all the way until the next part of the game, but not me, not your boy Jonno. I'm about to get set up. All right, you guys, so I'm going to keep on heading home and checking on my cat food, and here we go. We finally got a cat. Yes, you guys, it didn't really take that long. You can see on my save file that it didn't take a crazy amount of time to get this far. It was maybe an hour grinding to get the money for the silver sword, maybe another hour grinding on the robot, and I probably wasted some time doing the drinking game and figuring out that that was not the efficient way to go. But these are all the rewards you can get from the fair. If you really grind that fair and work it hard, you can get all of these different rewards here, and I would say that they are very good rewards. Now, the only thing is that you got to keep that cat food, all right, you guys? If you go and get those cats, then keep on grinding the cat food, and now you basically know the cat food grind, although I'll show it to you before we end the video just to really sink it in and make it clear. The best way to grind for the cat food is to go and knock out the robot. The fastest way to knock out the robot is the silver sword, and that's pretty much it, you guys. All right, everybody, I think that was a ton of information for episode 1. I bet you never knew that there was so much to do in the early game of Chrono Trigger, and I didn't either. I didn't do any of this stuff with my best friend when we sat down to play it that one night. I actually just played the game through and tried to play the story, but there's so many tiny, interesting things that you can do. There's so much grinding that you can do, and the game is super, super robust. So this just goes to show that we have got a ton of adventures ahead of us on the rest of the episodes of this series. I want to say thank you to everybody who watched this, and please put a sword as your comment down below. Show me that you watched until the end of the video and drop a sword emoji in your comment down below before you leave. Thanks everybody for watching. Thank you to all of my amazing subscribers, and peace!